casting that in resin, basically. So it's probably not going to be too easy to see this guy. These cameras never like to pick stuff up, but we cast this. And during the test, this was the one that we painted on some Colorshift powder and then tried sealing it with a UV cure resin. And I'll get a better shot of this, but we had some like bonding issues, I think, either between the Burl and the UV resin or the UV resin and the Alumilite clear. So there was a couple of issues, but I think it's still going to turn out kind of cool. And I thought, let's check it out, see what happens. So we're going to turn this today. And let's see here. I can't see the chat. Where's the chat? Jeremy's here. Heather's here. Yeah, I know. Sometimes it takes me a little while. I was ready to go, but then I forgot my microphone. So anyway, I'm here now. So we're going to turn this up. I'm going to switch to the other camera view. One thing that I wanted to mention on this, a lot of times when I'm turning a bottle stopper, I'll just tap threads, especially if it's just a resin blank. I'll just tap threads straight into the blank. Lately, I've been using more of these inserts. Stainless bottle stoppers sells the inserts, and it kind of makes sense. It's a good idea. The problem is I don't have time to wait around for this to glue in. I totally forgot to glue it last night, or last time I was in the shop. So I'm just going to go for tapping the threads. It shouldn't be a problem. I've done it a lot, but in some cases, I kind of like the insert better. You're not going to run into issues where the threads, if you're unscrewing it a lot, you're not going to have any damaged threads if you use the insert. So when you're doing that, all you have to do is drill these inserts from stainless bottle stoppers. You drill a half-inch hole into your blank and then just glue the insert in, and then you're good to go, and you can mount it on the lathe with the mandrel. What I'm going to do, like I said, today is you can just tap threads straight into your blank and then put your stopper piece in there, or use the threads to mount it on the mandrel. So that's what I'm going to show you guys today. Again, shouldn't be a problem. This Burl was stabilized, so it should be pretty good. So let me switch to the other camera view, and we will start working on this thing. First thing I'm going to do is drill out and then tap the threads on the blank, and then flip it around, and then we'll mount it on the mandrel and start turning it. It's probably going to be kind of a short one today. It doesn't really take that long to turn a stopper. If we have a little bit of time at the end, if it's not if it's before 4 o'clock or not too past 4 o'clock, maybe at the end we can do like a Q&A type thing. I can kind of hang out and answer any questions you guys might have. So, hey, Kathy's here. I'm glad you made it. Nice. Who else is here? Let's stop real quick and see what's happening here. Adventures with Corey. Nice. Nice. Glad you could stop by. Franklin Grant from Australia. Is that Australia? That's not Austria, is it? That's Australia, I think. Welcome to the stream. Glad you could make it. Mike Schmitz. How's it going, man? Nice. Cool. Mike McEwen. You know what? I didn't see you last week until after the show. Thanks for stopping in last week, too. Glad you could make it today. Hope everybody's getting used to the Friday schedule. It was a little bit, it's been a little bit for me to get used to as well, but Friday used to be kind of a dead day for me. It was like nothing was going on. I was coming back. It was like my Monday, because Thursday is the day I take off. And so Friday was always kind of this, like, I don't know what I'm going to do today, kind of getting back on track with stuff. Now it's kind of nice because I'm coming back from being off that day, and I get to do a stream, so it's kind of like easing back into the kind of work week, I guess, in a sense. So let me just make sure, yeah, okay, we got the camera going. Here is a better shot of the stopper, and I don't know if you guys can see how it's all like crystalline looking, like there's like shiny stuff all over the place? That's a bad bond. But probably, I'm guessing it's between the UV resin and the Alumilite clear. Now, I don't think this is going to come apart, but I will tell you right now, I'm definitely wearing a face mask. It could separate. This happens, this is the same effect that you're going to get if you use CA glue to seal stuff. I've seen the same exact effect. So I think in general, if you're trying to seal something off and then cast over it, your best bet is 5-minute epoxy works fine if you want something super quick like that. Or you can just use whatever resin you're going to be casting. Just put a thin coat, paint it on basically. That'll seal it up. and you'll be good to go. So that's what I would recommend. I don't think that UV cure resin is really, it's definitely not worth using because it doesn't work for this type of thing. So I got it chucked up in my Easy Chuck. Let me get my drill chuck ready to go. We're gonna drill a, shoot, what do I drill? 5/16 hole. Where is my drill bit? Everything's all messed up around here, guys. So what do you, oh, I need to go, you know what, hold on guys, I need to go grab my iPad. I knew I forgot something. Hold up, I'll be right back. So while I'm walking to get my iPad, I guess I can tell you about my wonderful day on the slopes yesterday. It was awesome. It's been snowing, dumping snow up here in Tahoe. Last week, we got like 3 feet, and yesterday was just plain fabulous. The nice thing is the temperatures have remained really cool. So the snow, it's not like melting and then recrystallizing. So it's not icy, it's just still kind of fluffy. Yesterday was just amazing up there, and we're getting another storm this weekend. So I'm a happy camper. That is what I'm going to be doing next Tuesday. Let me get my YouTube app open. And that way I can see the chat a little bit while I'm working here. Oh, I need to turn the internet on first. Though, there we go. Tap to retry. I'm going to tap it. I'm going to go over here since I'm kind of messing around, see what's going on. Doug's here. What's up, man? Uh-oh. I just lost my mouse. Where'd my mouse go? You guys ever lose your mouse? I do. There we go. Snow? Why do you live in Michigan if you don't like snow? Although I guess you can't really do much with it in Michigan. At least not. You guys don't have any ski resorts in Michigan, do you? Jeff is from Phoenix. What's up? It's Saturday there. Jeez. Where are you at, Kathy? Oh, Australia. Okay. Oh, cool. That's right. I don't know why I forgot that. Saturday. Wow. If it was Clover, South Carolina. How's it going, Ashley? I'm trying to just kind of check out. See who's from Portland? I just saw Portland somewhere. Ah, Soots. What's up? Cool. I might have missed a couple of these. Which camera do I use? I am using right now. This camera is just a Canon Handycam, a Vixia HFR50. That really doesn't matter. It was just a cheap one that I got. One thing that's cool on the Canon website, they have a used, or not used, refurbished section, and they got some pretty good deals there. So that's where I got that. It was only, I want to say like $200 maybe or something like that, and it's 1080. It's not like 4K or anything like that, but it works pretty good and it gives you a good view. Now the only problem is if you're going to hook up a real camera like this to your computer, you have to get a special card thing. So that's the only drawback, let's say, but it works really well. Why isn't this letting me see what's going on? Okay. No thanks. Live chat. There we go. Okay, so sorry about that, guys. Still kind of getting a feel for what's going on with all this stuff on YouTube. I had everything down on when I was using Twitch, so it was kind of easy at that point. But I definitely I'm happy that I finally decided to switch over to YouTube. So many more people get to come and enjoy the fun. All right, so I lost my 5/16 drill bit, which is usually sitting right here. As you can see, guys, I was totally ready for this today. I was at first. Then I started talking to my dad a little bit. Oh, here it is. All right, so we got a 5/16 drill bit, and the tap that we're going to be using for this is a 3/8 16. I had to hide my tap as well, so I don't know where that is. Man, I don't even know what is causing it at this point, but we've had the worst rust problems in our shop like ever since August, and it's not, you know, like there's no moisture. It's not a temperature fluctuation thing where there's condensation happening. I have no clue what is causing it. The only thing that changed in our shop was my dad has some acid that he just was like leaving around. And that's the only thing that I can think of that's causing the problem. Oh, this thing is on. Shush, how do I mute? Can't mute it. Mute, okay. So, let's see, hey, is that Parker? Parker's here, what's up, man? Let's see, so anyway, so the camera thing, like I said, that's which camera I use for this view. The nice thing about that is I can zoom with this one, you know, and I have a lot more control with this camera. And it's a little bit of a better picture, and it's easier to, it focuses better on things. So I like that a lot. I think it's totally worth, you know, I think it's totally worth using, you know, getting that card and all that stuff if you're going to stream. But to be honest, the other cameras that I use, that one that I was using at first, is the Logitech what is it called? C9000? I don't know. It's like the popular Logitech one. And that thing works pretty good. It's just, it doesn't focus on things very well. But, you know, there's always some sort of a problem. So what we're going to do here is, first thing I'm going to do is look at our, oh, one thing I want to show you guys. I'm all over the place today. Sorry about that. I need to find I got something, a cool product that the folks at Stainless Bottle Stoppers just came out with. You know how there's bushings for pen blanks? You know, like all the different pen kits and all that stuff. You basically just use the same mandrel, I guess, in a sense, and then there's bushings that tell you how far to turn down. Stainless Bottle Stoppers came out with this is the Honey Dipper mandrel. And then they have these bushings that slide over that thing, and they work for all the different types of kits. Like, so your ice cream scoop, I'm not sure which one is which, but they have 3 different bushings that fit over it. One's 3/4, one's 15/16, and one's 13/16, which I think is the one that we want to use. That's kind of cool. You can have one mandrel, and that's it. And just use your little bushings to figure out which size. Actually, I think it's a 3/4. Maybe. Let's see here. No. 13/16. Open this thing up. I'm just getting this ready to make sure I'm using the right one. Yeah, 13/16 is what the stainless bottle stopper, what this thing is. So it fits perfectly, and then on the mandrel itself, you just slide this little sleeve over, and then you got your reference area. So it's pretty cool. I'm going to use that when we get going. All right, so let's drill this in. Now, what I need to do is make sure that I'm drilling it far enough. It looks like between the two of these, this one is probably longer, so I'm going to measure that, and then I'm going to make a mark on my drill bit. So I measured it with the bottom part. Now I'm just going to kind of mark. That way I know how far to drill. Maybe go just a hair longer than I need. Looks like right there. And then we're good to go. So it's so quiet in here without any music. It's weird. All right, so let's see here. 10 snowflakes in Central Texas. That's hilarious. You know what's kind of crazy is when I lived in Vegas, I'm from northern Nevada, but I went to school at UNLV. And when I lived there, they actually got some snow on the valley floor. It's kind of crazy. It would happen like every 3 years. You get a snowstorm. What the heck's going on here? Come on, drill. Get in there. Okay. Might have been a little better to use a brad point on that one. Possibly, but I don't have one, so. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I need my tap. Where is the tap? So we're going to use a 3/8/16 tap for these things. That's the thread that these bottle stopper pieces are. It's what most of your kits like that are. The ice, like many of them, I should not all of them, but many of them are 3/8/16, like your scoops. I don't even know what all the different ones are. Why don't I have my 3/8/16 sitting right here? Oh, maybe it's down. I put a bunch of stuff away because it was all getting rusted, which, like I said, for my entire existence in this shop, we've never had a rust problem. Nevada doesn't have enough humidity to even worry about things rusting usually, but found it. But whatever's going on with our shop is causing some serious issues. My lathe bed is rusting, and it's like one of those things that I'd have to actually redo it. Oh, that thing, that's why. I don't think that I tightened that thing very well. Okay, now it's tight. All right, so what I'm going to do here is just manually, I got my tailstock loose, and I'm just going to apply a little bit of pressure to the back of the tailstock here. Oops, I lost my power cord. I don't know why that cord is so weak. Okay, oh, this thing's falling off too. So I'll try to get like a shot over here where you can kind of see what I'm doing. If you haven't tapped threads, it's real easy, no big deal. You'll just kind of get it kind of set up, into the hole. And then I'm just gonna, you can use either the chuck itself, but you want to turn it while putting just a little pressure on your tailstock. And I'm going to take about 3, maybe 4 turns in, and then back it off a little bit, and then come back, take a few more, three turns in, back it off. And that backing off just kind of clears some of the stuff out and cleans the threads up that you just made a little bit. And so you'll just do this until you bottom out. Now I'm using a bottoming tap. There is a difference in taps. Some of them are, I don't even know what they call the other ones, but this one's a bottom tap that I'm using, and it's flat. The other ones are made for like starting easier, and they kind of have a point to them. They don't work the best in this case if you got a dead hole. So I'll just kind of quickly show, just in case anybody doesn't know the difference between these kind of taps here. This is the one that I was using, and you can see it's flat on the end. Call it a bottom tap. This is, anybody know the name? I can't think of the name of these, but they're more made for like starting easier. It kind of lines into the hole. For the most part, if you're on a lathe already, everything's going to be pretty much aligned. So you can just start out with a bottoming tap. But if you're starting to, if you need something with a little bit more help to get it started, you can start with that and then finish with bottoming tap. If you're going all the way through something, you can just use whatever, either one. What do they call this thing? I can't think of the name. Let's see if we can get it might be easier over here. See if I can get in there and show you guys the threads that we just made. Zoomy zoom. I don't know how good this view is going to be, but Not too bad. Let me get some light on there. I think that light's going to be too much. So what's everybody up to this weekend? Anybody got any big plans? I'm going to come in from this side. I think that might work better. So they look like they tapped pretty well. Should be fine. I definitely don't have a problem tapping and just tapping straight into resin. Alumilite holds threads, or takes threads extremely well. So if the blank is just whatever you're tapping threads into is just alumilite or epoxy, there's no problem just doing it straight. If it's something where the material is kind of brittle, polyester resin doesn't take threads as well. It's kind of a more brittle material on those kind of smaller ridges. You might want to just use an insert. Might go a little bit better for you. On this Burl chunk and many woods will take threads fine. It's just kind of, if it's something that you're going to be unscrewing and screwing on quite often, that might be a good reason to use an insert also. So either way, it doesn't really matter, but some things, if it's going to be brittle and kind of fall apart on you, if those threads are not going to be very good, then you definitely don't want to just tap the thread straight into the material. The candy cane blanks that I was making, those are not good for tapping directly into it. I got one right here. This, the candy cane part is not going to hold threads if you end up tapping into it. And so, like stuff like that, it's just crumbly or brittle or soft, is not something that you want to just tap straight into. All right, so we got our little stopper mandrel, and I got that little bushing on there, the 13/16 bushing, so we're good to go. And I haven't turned a stopper in a long time, guys. Got my face mask out here. I'll be putting that on in 1 second. Just put that there. I think I'm going to bring up the tailstock just for a little bit. You got to move it once you start shaping into the end. But if this does want to kind of come apart, I have a feeling that having the tailstock up is going to keep it together more. There's kind of a layer of resin, of the cast resin, the Alumilite clear, on the outside of this burl, so it's probably not coming apart right away. It'll be once we get it kind of trimmed down, where all that's holding this together is that line. That's where things might get kind of interesting. Another thing that I'm going to probably do is just hit it with some the super thin CA. Once I get this first layer off, I love thin CA. It's like the duct tape of turning. If you got something where there's an issue with a bond or something like that or whatever, you just hit it with some of that CA. It'll want to seep into any cracks. It may save your blank, if you just do it that way. And it's a cheap way to it's like cheap insurance is kind of how I see it. So let's see here. I'm going to get my little robust tailstock live center thing out. Let's move this camera so you guys can actually see. Hopefully I won't rip my battery cord out again. Oh, sorry guys. My camera fell over my tripod where I was resting. and it loosened my camera up from the mount. All right, so let me stop here real quick, see what's going on. Snowing at about 40 miles an hour. Oh man. Oh, that was old. I'm behind here. I got an alarm going off too. Hey, Brad's here. What's up, buddy? Shush. What are you up to, Brad? Let's see. Anybody doing anything? Cleaning and organizing the shop. Dude, I've totally run out of places to put stuff. What was that? Let's see here. Can't even go fishing, huh? Fishing for me is really just what I call drinking beer, because I can't catch fish. I have no patience and I don't know what I'm doing. Let's see. I'm just trying to quickly make sure I'm not missing anything. I might have missed some stuff. Wow, the chat. Oh my God, I'm way behind, guys. Randy, super chat. Thank you. I appreciate it. Super chat, I forgot to say that. If anybody wants to help support the show, you can do that with the super chat, and it also it posts up there, so I'll see it if you have any questions that if you want to make sure your question gets answered, that's a good way to do it, is with the super chat. Actually, I think that was already set for my. I think I'm just going to come out the gate with my #1 hollower. The Easy Wood Tools. It's got a small cutter. I kind of like the big radius, the CI0s. So this is the full size and with the big circle cutter. I kind of like that because it's got a big stable bar. And I like that for kind of just truing things up sometimes. But in this case, I think I'd rather go for a smaller radius tool because there are some issues with bonding. That bigger circle, the wider radius is going to maybe kind of grab on a little bit more. It'll apply more pressure than a small cutter. So I think that's my my thought pattern here with this. It doesn't really matter, but I think that's going to be a better way to go in this case. So let me get my headgear on. And I can't see out of this thing. What the heck is going on? It's all foggy in there. Sorry about that. Something funky is going on. There's like a coating of dust. Oh, and I just popped the face mask part out. Technical difficulties, guys. There we go. Got it back. Can't see out of your face mask. It's not a good thing. Okay, I can see. Turn this guy on. Speed it up. All right, I'm gonna have to stop it because my tool rest is rusty, along with everything else in my shop. Climate controlled, low humidity shop. So I need to clean it off. Here we go. Get that going and add a little bit of paste wax to this guy. My tool is just wanting to kind of hang out and not move. It makes turning a lot harder. So, Roger, welcome to the stream. If you can't do your job drunk, oh, that's not funny. We're making a bottle stopper, Peter. It's a bottle stopper. I had pizza last night for dinner though. They got a really killer place up at Heavenly in Tahoe, the ski resort I was at. And we like to go there every once in a while. So we made kind of a whole day of the snowboarding thing. We went to dinner afterwards in the little village. It was pretty awesome. Then we went and got, have you guys seen the cookie ice cream sandwich shops that are popping up all over the place? They got one up there too. You know me, I had to have some ice cream. It was fun. Still kind of. So once I get the kind of first layer off of most of this burl, I want to hit it with some CA glue just to make sure there's a little extra something in between that joint. So I'll just keep on going here. See how we're looking here. I think I'm going to hit it with a little bit of CA right now. Looks like we pretty much mostly got all the way down to that burl. So I just want to hit it with some CA. I like the Star Bond super fast thin. Doesn't really matter. I just know that this stuff is like way thin. So any brand that's like a water thin CA will work. Star Bond works pretty good though. And I'm just going to douse it. I just want it to soak in, basically. And I'm not going to hit it with Accelerator either. You just want to kind of douse it. Let's see if I can get I'm going to try and move the camera a little bit here. Try and get a sideways shot, sort of. Maybe. There we go. So like I said, you don't want to hit it with Accelerator or anything. You just want it to kind of be in its liquid form, soak in as far as possible. If there is any kind of a crack, between the burl and the clear resin, that super thin CA glue will kind of get in there and like soak in. It literally it'll even go like uphill to get into cracks. It's a really awesome product. Okay. Still hasn't fully cured here. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, turn that off. Brad's making pizza now. Nice. Brazil, sweet. I got family in Brazil. That's cool. Oh, no worries. Franklin, the other nice thing is these episodes, the live streams, you'll be able to go back and watch them afterwards. So if you missed anything, and want to kind of go through it, you can do that. It's not right away. I like to go in and kind of clean up the description and do a couple of things. So it'll probably be up on probably tomorrow. I'll try and do that tonight. Hey, thanks. Oh, never mind. Not talking to me. Yeah, Doug, I've put T9 Bow Shield on everything. I've used paste wax on top of that. I've tried everything with the rust. It doesn't work. That's why I'm thinking it might be some sort of an acid problem that's starting it, and then whatever moisture is in the shop is doing something else. It's weird. I don't have a clue what it is, though. So I don't really... let's see here. Brad's been playing with the X-Carve. Sweet. Yeah, I'm definitely wearing the face shield today. I don't wear it all the time. I got to be honest. I don't think that pen turning is something that really requires me to wear a face mask. Sorry. Things that I think are, you know, highly likely to come off the lathe, that's when I definitely pull out a face mask. But, you know, it's not a bad idea to wear it all the time. I just don't really like face masks when I'm turning. So if I'm just doing a quick pen or something like that, then I'm not really that worried about it. It's not coming off the lathe. Most of them probably aren't even going to come apart on me that I'm turning. So that's just kind of how I pick it. But on bigger projects, I usually do. All right, so I have no clue what shape I'm going to put in this thing. I guess first of all, I need to get the bottom down to this bushing here. So let's do that. It looks like I maybe could go, no, it's on there, it's fine. So I'm going to bring the bottom of this thing down to the bushing diameter. And then I'm thinking, I want to just kind of do not too much. I think I might just do my kind of favorite shape or pattern or whatever. It's kind of just, let's see, I think I got one here. Actually, let's try this. No, I think we'll do this one. I might have another favorite or two, but let's try this. It's a little dusty. Just kind of bring it out like a doorknob or, you know, like a knob kind of thing. That gives you good pull when you're pulling your stopper out of the wine bottle. And I think it'll be kind of cool for this one. It'll add that bulbous shape. Will hopefully add a little bit of cool like refraction into this blank. So how about that? We'll do that. Let's see. All right. Let's get going here. Just about got it down to that 13/16. I thought that was a pretty innovative thing. Stainless bottle stoppers has been coming out with a lot of really cool innovations for different kits and things like that. That honey dipper kit that they came out with is like really cool. I was never a huge fan of, you know, like a wooden honey dipper. It's just not my thing. But I really liked that stainless one, and it really went well with the honeycomb, the aluminum honeycomb that I that I sell, that I use. Whoops. Really got to get my camera situated a little bit better. It's looking pretty good. So just a little bit more, just a little bit of a lip down there. "9:45 p.m. Dang. That's feeling pretty good right there. All right, so again, with my like template thing, now I'm going to need to kind of come in a little bit and then flare out the top. So let's do that. We got quite a bit of material to take off in the center here. I find just kind of pushing in oftentimes works really well. I'm gonna turn my fan on because this dust is not awesome. I'm not going in easy on this thing at all. I'm kind of hogging away. So far it's stayed together nicely. All right, so let's see what's going on here. We're getting closer to the shape that we want. I think I'm going to hit it with another round of CA glue real quick here. Again, just to kind of promote good adhesion between the two materials. If there are any issues, it should help out. The CA glue, the thin CA glue, I think is kind of a huge deal with pen turning also. I'm able to get through a lot of materials that a lot of people have difficulty with, and I think it's simply just because I use thin CA glue when I'm gluing tubes in, and if there's a difficult material on the outside, I'll just hit it with CA glue just for the heck of it, and I think that it just helps keep things together a little better. Thing's looking pretty good so far. I don't know if I'm doing a very good job on this shaping, but not really. Kind of not hitting that shape, but we're kind of getting sort of close to a little bulbous knob thing at the top here. I'm going to try and get this a little bit more rounded and then pretty much be done with it. We'll just polish it up, and then I think I'm probably gonna put a CA finish on this. With my stoppers, the more that I think about them, the more I've thought about them, I think that it's a good idea to put a CA finish on bottle stoppers, because they're gonna be around alcohol, you know, wine and stuff, and it just putting some protection on it I think is a pretty good idea. If there's any weird materials or something that you don't really want around food, that's another good reason to coat it with something. But have I thought about, yeah, it's not in our airline either, because it happens all over the shop. It's not just things that I blow off. It's not just the lathe, and it's happening in my dad's area, in things that have nothing to do with the pressure pot, or with the compressor, compressed air. So something weird's going on, and I don't know what it is. Don't know what it is. Bob Evans Farm and Restaurant. I'm not sure what that is. Let's see. Yeah, it kind of does look like a light bulb. Not sure that this is going to be the greatest shaping ever accomplished by me, but you never know. Sometimes in the middle of something, I'm like, oh my God, that looks terrible, but somehow I pull it out in the end. All right. Not the most amazing shape, but I think it's gonna look cool once we get it polished. It kind of has this, I don't know, it's like this background like thing. I don't know. I think it's gonna be cool when we get it done. No thanks to my shaping. I think the blank will just be cool as it is. See if we can get you guys in here. We'll try and clean up this end of it a little bit. It should be pretty styling, I think. What do you guys think of it? I mean, I didn't really show you a whole lot. Let's Let me actually hit it with some water. I'm curious to see what, excuse me, my throat is really dry today. I don't know what the deal is. So let's try and get in here. See if I can get you guys might have to move that camera to get a better shot here, but I have to do some polishing so we can see inside, but this bottom part is pretty cool. Let's see if I can get you guys a neat shot of that. That's looking pretty neat. Right in there, I don't know. I think this thing's gonna be pretty cool once I get it all polished up and finish applied. Stuff's drifting up from Area 51, yeah. That place is definitely kind of weird. One time, so I went to school at UNLV, and you know my family lives up here, so like you know holidays and stuff, I was constantly on the road between northern and southern Nevada. And one time, and so there's only two ways if you're driving from here to, well, I guess wherever. If you're driving from northern Nevada down to Vegas, there's two ways you can go. The entire center of the state is the Nevada test site, and you can't drive through it, you can't fly over it. And so one road, like the straight road, is just Highway 95. And that's what I would usually take. It's definitely the fastest. But when you take that same road every single time, you know, like 5 or 10 times a year, I don't know how often I'd come back up, but eventually you start wanting to just take a different route for the heck of it. And the other way is out in the middle of nowhere, and it's called the extraterrestrial highway. They literally named it that. There's like an actual like Nevada state highway sign that says that, and it has like UFOs on it. It's hilarious. But so I was going the ET highway this one time, and I look over in you know towards the Nevada test site, and there's literally a mushroom cloud, like a gigantic mushroom cloud in the center of the test site, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna get irradiated on this trip, I think. But it was kind of cool at the same time. Yeah, it does kind of look like a light bulb, huh? I never claimed to be an excellent turner. I just like to have fun with it. Slowly but surely we're getting there. I'm going to move that camera over for you guys so you can kind of see the end. There we go. Now it looks a little different than a light bulb. There, now it's back to light bulby. May as well take it and ride with it, you know? No sense in fighting it. All right. I think I'll put a little bit of, you know, that's actually pretty smooth. I think I'm good to go for some sandpaper. I think I'm just going to start at 240, see how that goes. Actually, I'm going to start at 180, just to get that burl sanded up nicely. And then what I'm going to do is take it up to about 500 grit. So I'll go 180, 240. Actually, let me just see what 240 does. 240 might be all we need. 240, 400, and then 500. So I got this thing going at about 300 RPMs. Slower is generally better with resins. I will admit that water, you know, wet sanding is better off the bat. I don't really like doing it that way because I'm kind of lazy. But I think if you want my honest opinion, for best results, I would start off with wet sanding and go all the way. If you go, you know, dry, it's fine for some of the lower grits. That's what I'm doing right now. 180 and 240, 400. I find that you can kind of, as long as you're not loading the paper up, you should be okay. But what can happen is if when you're sanding, if you apply too much pressure and some of that dust, especially the plastic, the resin dust kind of clumps up, you can burnish in scratches which don't become apparent until you get to like your highest polish. And then you have to drop down to like 180 again to get them out. So just be careful, don't load it up. If you want to make sure and get the best results possible, wet sanding off the bat is not a bad idea. At least I know. You gotta own it. I set out to make a light bulb off the bat. I'm pretty into experimenting with stuff. Like, even if things don't really go the way that, I don't know, they're not really going the right way in the middle of the project, a lot of times I'll just stick with it because it's not like I don't need to sell these items. I generally don't sell anything that I actually have made. So I don't really care that much, you know, what it ends up looking like. And what can happen is sometimes while you're experimenting, you may find out like, oh, wow, you know, this would be cool in like maybe a different situation, or maybe it's just cool as it is. So I usually like to just kind of go with it. I enjoy turning just for the fun of it. I don't like it's not as fun when there's like, oh, I got to sell this and it needs to look perfect. I didn't enjoy that as much. All right, so we still got some little, couple little lines here. So we're gonna keep going with this 240 grit. Yeah, sanding is the worst. I'm not a big fan of sanding myself. That is the one drawback kind of to resin is you really, especially like Alumilite and epoxy, it has a little bit of what makes it easier to turn than some of those, you know, brittle and terrible blanks is, I think it's the elongation like the tensile strength or something of it. I don't exactly know what the specification is. It's not the hardness. Alumilite and polyester resin are generally the same hardness, but polyester resin is more brittle and it just doesn't have as much of that like tensile strength. And so, you know, you gotta, and epoxy is kind of the same thing as alumilite, pretty similar, most of them. And you got to be pretty diligent about your sanding. If you don't get the scratches out, they're gonna be there, you know. So you need to every grit get, you know, the previous grit scratches out and make sure of that. One way to kind of make sure that you do that is, so I'm doing 240 grit right now. Next time, you know, you can go and sand the opposite direction. And then when all of the radial scratches that are going around the thing are gone, you can be pretty sure that you've gotten them all out. And then the next time, turn the lathe on. So you can kind of experiment with that. But that's one good way to kind of ensure it. And the other thing is you're sanding, there's like basically little bumps on this, right? And they're all going around in a circle. If you do it two different ways, you're basically covering more area. It's kind of a grid. And I think in the end, it just ends up making it a little bit nicer. So just a little, something that I've found that seems to work pretty well. All right, I think that's probably pretty good. Blow that off, see what's going on here. Yeah, I think we did pretty good with the 240, so let's move up to 400. Another thing that I find people do is they keep using sandpaper beyond its expiration date. They're like trying to get every ounce of life out of a piece of sandpaper, and I gotta be honest, that is the opposite of what you want to do. Just throw it away, get a new piece. You're gonna be a lot better off. Things will go a lot quicker and it'll be a lot more consistent. Always get a fresh piece even when you kind of think, oh, I don't know, is it kind of starting to dull? Toss it. Go get a new one. So I'm doing it lengthwise here. Now on the Burl, it doesn't really matter, I don't think. I find wood is a little bit easier to, you don't generally want to go cross grain, you know, when you're sanding wood. There's really no grain pattern on Burl usually, so no big deal. But on resins, I think solid surfaces, let's just say, like even Corian or something like that, anything that's a plastic solid surface, I think it's a good idea to do this cross grain scratching. Oh, I missed some stuff. What's going on here? Security system. I don't know. Probably not a very good, may not be a very good camera, like a picture. Depends though. Depends on how good the camera is. Yeah, I shoot a lot of my actual, when I'm just shooting a YouTube video, I gotta be honest, I have a iPhone 10 or X or whatever like that. And I find that just shooting on your phone, with your phone camera, I mean, honestly, that works great. I do have a DSLR, and it's, in some cases, I'll pull that out, but man, it's so easy on a phone and you get really good picture. So unless you're going for that like dreamy, you know, artistic, cinematic feel, I mean, even just a handy cam, if you have one, will work. I used to I have a GoPro. I think it was like a 4 maybe, or something. I don't know what number it was. It didn't have a screen on the back, which I found frustrating, but I never got very good results with a GoPro. Might be settings and stuff, but I do like using a GoPro if I'm doing something that where the camera may get hurt in some way. I guess, but these days I use my phone for just about everything. Seems to work good. Now, the only problem with doing this is it's extremely tedious. It starts making your hands kind of hurt. But every time I don't do this, I usually get less than stellar results in the end. And I don't really know until the end that I've missed some things. Having a really good, like this light, let me zoom out. This light was ridiculously expensive, and I don't necessarily recommend getting this one, but it's, I think, the Supernova. There's other ways to get a high-powered light, but this thing is super powerful, and it really helps to have a good raking light on it. Now, if I turn this on, it'll blow it out on the camera. You won't be able to really see anything, but it really helps me to see, you know, and if you get it at a good raking angle, you can definitely see where you've missed. So that's what another way to kind of help out a little bit. Get a good light, and that will help you identify scratches, you know, that are in the blank before you get to the end. There's nothing more frustrating than that. That would happen to me all the time. I'd get done with a pen. It's looking great on the, you know, under certain light, and then you get it into a different type of light or a different angle, and you're like, oh my God, there's scratches everywhere. All right, I think that's probably good with the 400. And then what I'm going to do here, I have this pad. It's an Abra or a Mirka product. They make Abranet. It's called Abralon. Doesn't really matter. I just like the padding of this. It's kind of like a little spongy thing. And so I'm just going to finish up with the 500 here. And it just kind of smooths things out a little bit. Try and get rid of that 400. Now, what I'm going to do though is I'm putting a finish on this. So you don't really have to worry so much when you're putting a finish on top of something. You know, if you're putting finish, a top coat like polyurethane or shellac or, you know, lacquer or whatever on a woodworking project, you're going to sand in between coats. You're going to scuff it up, and then the next coat is going to kind of fill in those scratches. So I generally, as long as you can get something to, like, I mean, really possibly even just 220, but I kind of like to go a little higher, 400, 500. Then you're good to go. Like, put a finish on and there's not going to be any scratches visible on the blank. It'll cover it up nicely for you guys. All right, now I'm going to hit it with some denatured alcohol real quick, just to kind of clean off that dust, anything else that's going on with it. And let's see here. Is this thing in the way still? Sorry about that. Yeah, I want to start doing GoPro stuff, or like filming when I'm snowboarding, but in those cold temperatures, there's so many problems with batteries and things dying that, and especially even with GoPros, I'm a little bit surprised that GoPro hasn't come out with a winter-proof camera. Like, a lot of people have problems with their 7s if it's a cold day. Is the 7 the new one? Yeah, so haven't done it yet, but eventually, hopefully, I'll start doing that. Partly because I just want to kind of share with, there's a lot of, like, I go places even that, like, my wife doesn't go with me to, that she would like to see even, you know. If I can make it interesting, that'd be kind of cool. Make some good videos of it. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add our finish. I'm gonna turn this big fan off real quick. I'm gonna turn the smaller one on. You don't really want to breathe CA glue. Fumes. Makes your eyes burn. So once again though, what I'm gonna do first is douse this thing with thin CA. And I do that typically on every CA finish that I apply, just to kind of, again, seal things up, fill any spots that may be there, you know. But it's not really gonna fill, you know, massive gaps or anything like that. It's just meant to kind of soak in and seal things up a little bit in there. So let's do that. Would you do it? How's it going? Oh man, I've been doing pretty good. My knees are jacked up, but it's winter time and I'm still snowboarding and they haven't totally fallen off yet, so I'm doing pretty good. So we'll just put a kind of a seal coat first, and again I use that super fast thin by Starbond for that. And I don't want to hit it with Accelerator. I want it to soak in and cure on its own, or you know. Yeah, snowboarding footage for sanding. That's actually pretty good. No, I don't have to keep my phone plugged in. For the most part, you're not gonna. Now, I'm not using a phone right now, but if I'm just doing like a project video, for the most part, you're not gonna just sit and record 30 minutes of you doing a project. Most people don't really want to watch that, so you're gonna get like the interesting, you know, clips of it. So you shouldn't really need a ton of battery necessarily, depending on what depending on what it is. In the beginning, you know, like you might have to, if you're talking to the camera, that's where I'm gonna burn through battery. Unless you pre-plan what you're actually gonna say, you know. But you shouldn't really need to worry about that too much, unless your battery dies quick. My phone doesn't. All right, so now we're gonna apply. Let's see. Let's just make sure this thing is dry. Yeah, that's pretty well dried up. Now what I'm going to use is I've kind of gotten used to using this medium. Am I on the camera here? What's going on? There's the thing. Medium by Starbond. I've started using that. I'm really liking it for everything, basically, as my finish. You can get away with putting less coats on, but it's not super, super thick. It kind of is it's just a little bit thicker than the Mercury Thin Flex is what I used to use. And I like that, but I've found that, you know, this has a little bit longer working time. So for things that have a lot of features that aren't just flat, the medium gives you, you know, a lot better chance of getting that coat on evenly, even if you have a lot of, you know, curvature to your project. So I'm kind of liking this stuff a lot more, which I'm kind of surprised. I always was against using medium as a finish for things, but it's pretty good for like filling little pits and things like that. It's easy to build up, fill things, and it has a little bit longer working time, and it's super clear. It's a really good finish in the end. So I put about I don't know, that much. I don't know, it's not really a dime amount. But I just kind of on and off. That's kind of the secret to CA finishes. You don't want to sit there and rub it in and do stuff. You just want to kind of give it a good coating and then get it off of there. And then even if you've screwed up a little bit, just kind of get a more even coat on the next time. And this is where I do use the spray. What do they call this? Accelerator. I've never run into problems using an accelerator. I've heard some people do. And I don't know if that has to do with the accelerator, with the ambient humidity possibly, or the CA glue itself. But with Star Bonds and Mercury and Easy Bond, I've never had a problem with it cracking or doing anything weird because I used Accelerator. So just want to mention that. I think it works great. It gets you on, you know, through your coats quick. One thing I almost forgot to do, I like to kind of wipe off the blank. You know, I just hit it with that Accelerator. If there's any remaining on the blank, the next coat you put on is going to immediately cure. So I like to kind of wipe off, make sure there's no residue. Then go for another coat. And we're good to go there. So I'm thinking like 3 coats, maybe 4. Really all we need. Now the one thing is, if you can't get it on even, if you got a bunch of ridges and stuff, then you're gonna have to sand those flat for it to look good and then add more. So the key is you want to try and get it as even a coat as you can on, so that you don't put on 5 coats and sand off 6. And then I use the back of my finger to kind of just, you know, test and see if it's sticky. I don't know why. It just seems more sensitive, I guess. Anytime I use the pads of my fingers, it usually just sticks on there. Okay, wipe it off. I'm going to put coat number 3 on, then I'm going to sand it back a little bit and just see how I feel about it. Knock down any high spots. Has anybody used that? Have you guys heard of that CA glue boost? That pen, they're somebody, I don't even know who's trying to sell it as a pen finish. Has anybody used that? Seems kind of gimmicky, but I don't know. The blank store? Are you asking me, Peter? All right, so could have done a little better. It's a little bit ridgy, but I'm going to first start out with this 500 and see what I can do. Again, you don't really want to sand off all that you just put on, but you do want to get everything flattened out. So the higher you can start sanding to get everything flattened, the better off you are. I think what I'm going to do is try and sand this, get most of those high spots off, and then use a kind of a small amount, put a thin final coat on and try and just get it on really smooth. It's much easier to put a CA finish on something that's like flat, like a pen that doesn't have a bunch of bumps and stuff in it. Even this shape is a little harder, obviously, because you're trying to follow a contour and get something on, get a liquid on it, you know, as flat as possible. Yeah, Mercury works pretty good. I like that thin flex. It works pretty decent. I can usually get that on extremely... What the problem was, why I didn't like using mediums, is that I would end up globbing it on and have to do a lot of work to get it even. And for some reason, I think what it is I put more pressure using this medium from Star Bond. I'm pushing into the blank and it goes on pretty pretty evenly then. So as long as you can get whatever kind of finish, you know, that you're using on evenly, then you're good to go. And actually this is looking reasonably good. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more. Saw some kind of shiny spots down here. Then I'm going to give it one final kind of thin coat, and then we'll start polishing this stuff up. All right. You guys hitting the like button? I don't even know where that is. There a like button here somewhere? Where's Jen at? Let's see here. Oh, there. How's it going, Jen? I don't think applying anything is going to fix the rust problem. I think that we need to figure out what is going on. Like I said, I actually think that it could be that acid that my dad's got jugs of, which actually kind of scares me because it's evaporating. And so I know it's evaporating. So that stuff is in the air, and it may just be promoting rusting on stuff. But the problem that I have is we're breathing that junk. I was like, could you please dispose of that soon? He's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. All right, so I forgot to, I'm gonna wipe this off, just make sure there's no sanding dust on there. Blow that off. And then, I waited too long. I'm gonna reapply my CA glue to my little pad here, so kind of all soaked in. Just try to go for kind of a thin, one more thin coat. And what in my head, what that's doing, putting that last thin coat on, is just kind of filling in any low spots, adding a little coating on top, and then you're good to go. So for the most part, I'm probably going to just sand that off, but hopefully it has filled any low spots. That's my rationale anyway. No clue if that's actually what's going on, but it seems to work out for me. Let's see here. So it doesn't absorb into the resin. I'm not sure what you mean by that. That works. Yeah, to me it doesn't, I doubt that it works any different than any other CA glue. That's I guess my question. I'm gonna have to test it out to see if it does anything. Well, I'm glad that you're getting going, Jen. That's cool. Everybody loves seeing the setup. I think it's pretty cool when people are just getting started, turning or whatever it may be. And they're watching the kind of journey of, okay, I don't have anything and I need to get everything set up. I think it's pretty fun. Pretty cool. Let's see here. Let's see here. What's going on? No, I don't really have problems with CA sticking to bushings. It does a little bit. I find that all I have to do is just kind of tap it to get them off. But again, I'm not putting like lots and lots of coats on. It will if you put too much. Now, another thing is some people, and this does work pretty well, but if you're using like the baggy method or rubber gloves, like nitrile gloves to apply, nothing's getting, none of that CA glue is soaking into the paper. I'm using paper towels, and some of the CA glue soaks into this. Right, so it is somewhat wasteful, but I've found every time I've tried to do the glove, I just use nitrile gloves rather than a baggie. But anytime that you're using something to kind of squeegee it on and it's not absorbing into the material, you're going to be kind of plastering it all over the pen or the, you know, whatever the blank is, and it's going to, like, it really gets stuck at that point, and you got to cut them off. So you got to watch out. You can use Delrin bushings, or they have like the, I think Stick Fast sells these little cone things for pen turning. I find these are kind of a pain. These basically you need to use a pen mandrel, and I turn between centers, so those things are kind of useless. But it's usually okay. I think one thing also that you could do is maybe give the bushings a coating of wax real quick, let it dry definitely, and wipe it back. But that will probably really hinder. If you're having problems with it, I might try that first. If you still have issues, then I would recommend getting like the actual Delrin bushings, or just putting it between centers, between the tube. That's another way. Kind of messy though. I'd rather get them stuck to bushings, or get that CA glue on a bushing than on my centers, personally. I think there's kind of a happy medium where you get plenty of CA glue, plenty of finish on there, but you're not getting it all over the bushings. They'll kind of pop free pretty easily. All right, that's looking pretty good. We got most of it out. I'm going to switch to my wet sanding at this point. And I use the Zona papers. So this green one, I think I'm actually going to go get a new one. This one's been kind of through the ringer. But this one's 750 grit or so, and then this gray. I just go with 750, and then 1150 is the gray. And then I move up to the buffing wheels. So I'm going to get a new piece of that, and I just get that off Amazon. I have links to that on my tools I use page on my website. Pretty good stuff. You can buy, it's 10 sheets of 8.5 by 11. A little different than like a lot of people are used to like the micro mesh pads. Frankly, I don't like that stiff pad thing on the back. I kind of like the thin thing because you can feel there's more feedback into your finger using these. They're cheaper and they're color coded, and you can get 8.5 by 11 sheets, cut them up into little strips, and you got them for like ever. So that's kind of what I go with. Get this thing wet here. So I usually use either a 400 or that 500 pad to kind of clean, to knock down those ridges on a CA finish. I want to get it as flat as possible, but I don't want to take off a ton of material. So once I get it pretty good, then I switch to this 750, and that'll just take care of the rest if there are any kind of slightly lower spots. You don't need to press hard when you're sanding finishes and stuff. Just let the grit do the work. Dry it off, take a look and see how we're doing. It's looking pretty good, I think. So I'm going to move up to the 1150. All right, and I think the rest I can get rid of. Still have a few little scratches in there from the 1150 grit, but should be able to get the rest out on the with the triple E wheel on the buffing machine, which is what I call my Comet lathe now. It's become the buffing machine. So let's see here. Let me try and get my. I don't want to pull my plug out. Hold on a minute. See if we can't get a little bit closer with this camera. Over there. We'll pop it off and do some buffing. Can't get too far over there, so this is probably going to be the best that I can get for you guys. It's not very exciting anyway. So I'm just going to use my triple E. You know what I want to do, guys? I don't ever use the wax wheel on this triple, the Burl 3-on system. I'm thinking I might actually rearrange this. I'd rather have just triple E and white diamond and a little bit more spread apart. So one day I might try to kind of rearrange this mandrel thing, take off the wax wheel entirely. But what I'm going to be using is triple E. It's spelled Tripoly. Some people have gotten that confused with the like sanding polish stuff, that EEE stuff, and you don't want to use that. It's triple E. It's a kind of a brown rouge, they call it, buffing rouge. And then I finish up with the white diamond, and I find as long as you've done your job up to this point, white diamond is as high as you really need to go. Some people have said that they like taking it, like using the blue, they get it more polished, and I haven't tried that. There is a blue rouge that's, I think, a finer grade than white diamond, but I don't know. I think that as long as you've gotten it truly to the triple E grade, the white diamond should polish it fine for you. It's plenty, glossy. Everything that I do with white diamond. Sanding the light bulbs. Yes, I turned a light bulb looking thing. Now, the other thing is I'm going to go grab my dust mask, my RZ mask. You really don't want to be breathing the dust that comes off of these buffing rouges. It's a fine abrasive that you don't want in your lungs. So, got my RZ mask on here, and I'm going to run this at I think this thing's set around 1500 according to this dial thing, or 1200. What do I have it at? Maybe like 800 to 1000, something like that. I don't know. Somewhere 800 to 1500, somewhere in there. Should be good. And I'm going to load up, charge it pretty good with the triple E, and just rub it around, let that triple E clean up any little scratch marks that you got. I mean, to be honest, I can actually, off of the triple E wheel, get things pretty high gloss. It's just a matter of, again, being diligent with scratching or sanding. If you truly get it up to 1100 grit, I mean, it's going to be polished pretty well. It's going to be pretty bright, So the triple E will get it up even higher. That white diamond should give you a pretty flawless finish. Flawless and glossy. Flossy. Flossy finish. New word, guys. Hashtag flossy finish. I expect to see the hashtags flying on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, here's where you want to have a good light. This is not the best light, but it'll do. That's looking pretty good so far. I really like that other light. It's like a super high beam. But this is good as long as you get it at the right, raking angle. So I usually can kind of tell what's going on by using that one, and then I'll go over to my the good light just to make sure at the end. Now, once again, you don't want to do too much. If you got a CA finish on there, you can burn it off with triple E. Kind of forgot that I had that on there. I usually find that CA finishes are easier to polish than Alumilite. It's a little bit, I don't know, a little harder, kind of, in a specific way. The brittle finishes are generally going to be easier to polish. It's kind of the trade-off. If it's really that brittle kind of material, it just polishes better. The ones that are a little bit like more taffy-like are going to be a little harder to polish. It's not ridiculously tough, it's just harder. This thing's pretty cool. I gotta be honest. I think you guys are gonna like this this light bulb of mine. This little light bulb of mine. I'm gonna make it shine. Just want to make sure you don't catch it up high. It'll kind of rip things out of your hands. It's best to work on this bottom quarter below the kind of widest point of the blank, or the wheel, I mean. So that's looking pretty good, I think. I'm going to hit it with this light over here just to kind of take a peek, but I think it's looking pretty good. Good enough for YouTube. And then we're going to go over to white diamond. I usually don't want to apply too much of this white diamond. You don't want to overload that wheel. A little goes a long way. And I'm going to put it back on my little, it's nice to have it on the mandrel. Just gives you a little handle. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go get gloves. I like wearing gloves because my hands, the oils get on it if you're handling it a lot. And so you've polished it up and then you add a bunch of fingerprints to it. I don't like doing that. And same thing. Oh yeah. I think you guys are gonna like it. You're gonna be like, that light bulb idea was brilliant. This is definitely a flossy finish, guys. We're getting some flossy finish going on right here. Now these wheels with the Burl system, the triple E wheel is actually a little bit of a stiffer wheel than the white diamond, and then the final wheel is a wax wheel. You can use carnauba wax. it's a super soft wheel. So even the wheels are a little bit different and kind of help with all that polishing with this specific system. Not every, not every wheel is going to be the same. So this kind of, I like the way this Burl system is set up. And Burl also sells just single wheels. You don't have to buy it on this mandrel, but this is kind of nice to have if you don't have like a dedicated buffing machine. This is a pretty good way to go. But they also just have a single mandrel, I think, also that you can use on the lathe. And I've seriously considered just switching to those because sometimes bigger items are a lot harder to get, to get buffed on this thing. And possibly just having one wheel on a lathe might be a little easier, but I like this setup. It's done me pretty well so far for most things. Works really well for kind of smaller bottle stoppers and things like that. Pens for sure. When you get into bowls and things, it gets a little bit more difficult to get, each one of these wheels. Oh man, that's looking good, guys. I'm seriously excited about this. It wasn't looking good, really. It wasn't like amazing until now. Let me get my mask off. I'll move this camera over so you guys can see the Magic Mountain blank. Polished and shiny. All right, here it is, guys. Here it is. Isn't that cool? I think it's pretty cool. It looks like a little light bulb with Burl in it. Wow. So you can definitely see the, all of that kind of shininess. That is all not good adhesion in there. But it actually, in this case, you have some of that color shift going on. Plus, you have that kind of weird, like icy stuff going. It looks like, it adds an interesting effect. It's just not exactly what we want if you're going for a good adhesion. But it does add a kind of an interesting effect to things. Having that kind of icy looking bond in there. I definitely want to try this again with the Colorshift powder on something else and use the right sealer, because I think that, but you guys can kind of see the difference. It's a blue to purple color shift, right? So it's blue down here and then it's purple up there, but then if you shift it, that changes. And it depends on how the color is hitting it. So it's pretty cool. I'm digging this thing. Let's get it on let's put it on its little stopper bottom. That's a pretty flossy finish though. What do you guys think? Flossy? No, I kind of left it a little bit wider than the thing. I didn't do as good a job as I would have liked, but that's okay. Nobody's even going to look at that transition. It's like making you say, think about magical places. It even kind of looks like, with the little rubber things, it totally is a light bulb. That's awesome. This is a magical light bulb, guys. Oh, we're having fun. That wasn't as quick as I actually thought it was going to be. Yeah, it kind of does look like snow, doesn't it? My mouse is lost again. What is wrong with this thing? It's killing me. There we go. Switch back to this view. So, pretty cool. I'm excited about this. Turned out pretty good, I think. Magical light bulb. So what do you guys think? Very glad. It's flossy. It's a flossy finish. Hashtag flossy. Flossy. Definitely looks like a light bulb. Yeah, there you go, Robert. My RPM for buffing is like 1,000, 1,200, something like that. That seems to work the best. You don't really want it going too fast. It doesn't seem to help usually. And again, as long as you've for sure gotten the piece up to 1,100, you know, I'd say somewhere between 1,000 to 1,500 grit, somewhere in there. If it's truly, you know, the whole surface is like 1,000 to 1,500 grit, the triple E wheel, without having to, you know, do much work, should get those scratches out as long as you've done your job, you know, and gotten it truly to that correct grit. Somewhere around 1,000. Now the other thing that you need to think about is an 8-inch wheel compared to a 4-inch wheel. The outer diameter is going to be going faster than a 4-inch wheel. So for they do sell some like I think they're 4-inch wheels. Those you might need to go a little bit faster than I would go for these 8-inch ones. So just kind of think about that. I don't know what the conversion factor would be on that, but maybe 2 times, possibly, I don't know. So anyway, yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Does anybody have, I know that I said if we get done quick, I don't know what I was thinking, that was going to be a quick stream, but I got some time, so let's just take like 10 minutes maybe. I'll kind of hang out for 10 minutes, and if anybody has any like burning questions, go ahead and ask now. And again, if anybody wants to help support the show, you can do the super chat thing. And that'll help, you know, pay for supplies and all that kind of good stuff. I'm also on Patreon, so if you want to check that out, we got some benefits over on Patreon that you can receive, and I'm trying to kind of work on some new benefits and expand the Patreon thing as we go. Once we get patrons over there, I'm not exactly sure, so some of the benefits are probably going to change. I just want to make sure that we're offering the best benefits to people, so we're over there on Patreon as well. Let's see here. Yeah. I really like the Burl system. It's a pretty good system. Let's see. I need to get a drink. Do another project. No, I have to actually get work done today still. Got blanks to make, guys. Hey, Nick! Is that Nick Offerman? Just kidding. Nick Osmond? I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat and helping to support the show. Yeah, that's a lathe. Were you not watching? I was just on it, man. I have my mini lathe set up for the buffing. I don't do it on my big one because I have the other one. This mouse is killing me. I have the big one set up for that full time. There's no reason for me to use the Nova for anything. As long as I kept the Nova, because if I ever, like, for some reason can't break down the Laguna, but I need to get a project done for some reason, I wanted to keep the Comet. It's a decent lathe, you know, it's fine. But I mean, if I had my choice, I'm going to turn everything on that Laguna because it's way better. Oh, it's not Nick Offerman. Dang it. I thought he hung out on my stream. I was just kidding. I was pretty sure that's who it was, but it just came to my brain. 3/4. Oh, nice. Yeah, what are you going to do with that? The 3/4. Yeah, are you going to make what did you say, a handle? I can't remember. Is there anything I would change in my video about modifying a pressure pot? Nope. I mean, I can't think of anything that I would change in it. I don't use Harbor Freight pressure pots anymore. But Istanbul, Turkey, that's awesome. I don't think I've ever met anybody from Turkey. That's cool. Yeah, no, I don't think that I would change anything. That's exactly how I would set things up. I always recommend that you keep regulators and safety valves in there. Yeah. The only thing that I would say or like recommend that I wish I maybe would have put in that video is when you're doing the plumbing stuff, and I did make another video about how to find and fix air leaks on every pressure pot that I ever set up at this point. On the plumbing, I'm not going to use Teflon tape. That stuff is general. I think they do make a Teflon tape that's for pneumatics, but the white Teflon tape is really not meant for that. It's not a very good sealer. The best sealant is this Loctite 545. It's anaerobic sealant, but it's a thread. It's meant to be for thread sealing in pneumatics. That stuff will seal any leak pretty much. So you're better, and it's kind of expensive, but you're best off to hit your threads on all the plumbing parts with the 545, put them all together, and you're probably not going to have any leaks on your plumbing parts. So that's the one thing I guess I maybe would change, is to add that in. But everything else, I set them up the same way. I like the CA Technologies pots because they actually require way less work to get set up. You only need the few parts that go onto the regulator are the only things that you need to add. And then the rest of it's all set up. You don't need to change anything. Plus, there's a lot of other reasons I like CA Technologies better. But anyway, that's, yeah, so hopefully that helps out a little bit. My mouse is like not working. Let me move. Let me see if I can move stuff over. So where are we at time-wise? Oh, we still got a lot of time. I'm going to kind of shift views over here so I can use my desk as where I'm mousing. Yeah, don't use regular Loctite. You want to use 545. That's the correct one. Noodle Dunkin' Junk. Man, I don't know. Is Brad still here? I don't remember what we did on that now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I did. Should work. Which noodles are you talking? Like ramen or like pasta noodles? That's the question. Flossy. We're gonna create a revolution, the flossy revolution. So anytime you guys see somebody that makes like a really good, project and it's got a nice, glossy finish, make sure that you hashtag flossy. People will love it. Oh yeah, shifter knob, that's right. Bud vase. What am I doing next week? I think I saw that. I don't know. I'll do like a quick tips type thing. Maybe do like I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I have a few things written down for ideas for shows. So I'll probably do something that's like kind of a tip, more focused on like a specific technique type thing or something to do with casting. It probably won't be 2 hours long. I'm trying to keep these things to an hour, but I wanted to get that thing finished, obviously. When I'm actually working on a project, it'll probably go over. Let's see, what else? There was a couple other. Yeah, the ammo casings was cool. I like that one. Tricolor Rotini. Yeah, I usually just push them in afterwards. I think you could probably get away with just pouring it in, but I usually like to push things like that down in so that there's no way to trap an air pocket. A lot of people don't realize that, the pressure pot, it will collapse bubbles. If it's like a full bubble, it'll, collapse it down into a really small size. If there's just a void, an air pocket, it's not going to push, resin into it or get rid of that air somehow. So if you pour resin over something and it's like there's like a hole, somehow there's something where the resin can't get there, then you're going to have a void in the blank. So rather than do that, I like to pour the resin into the mold first. So I got my square, like the trough. I'll pour the resin in first and then stick pieces of stuff down in there. That way you're really not going to trap air pockets in any way, rather than put the materials in first and then just pour resin on. As long as there's enough airways and the resin can flow into all the areas, then it doesn't matter though. Yeah, I stabilize all my pine cones. They turn so much better. You know, you don't have to, but I sell pen blanks. And so at that point, you know, I want to try and make blanks that are the best, the easiest to turn in most cases. And I think that stabilizing them is the best way to do that. Silicone blocks. Press wood into resin. Yeah, like kind of like a lid, I guess, maybe. I'm not sure. Double dyeing. Is double, Eric, were you asking like how do you do it? Or, I have a video on how to do it. It's not hard. First, you just kind of let it soak in a cup in dyed cactus juice. Let it soak up some colors. You can do that multiple times. Then you're gonna bake in that first round of color, whether it be multiple colors or just one. And again, you're not doing the full vacuum stage on the first step. You're just letting it kind of soak up dye, and that's going to be kind of your secondary color, like the highlight color. Then after you've baked in that first round of colors, then you're going to do like the full vacuum step with dyed resin, and that's going to be kind of your primary color. So it's pretty simple, pretty easy. What size compressor? We have a huge one. It's like a 60-gallon. We have a 4,000 square foot shop here, and it's servicing my entire shop area plus my dad's, and he's a machinist. So it's not really the most. I don't have a very good, like, my compressor is probably not what most people are going to have. Tips on, go check out my video on double die stabilizing. That's exactly how I do it. And I think that Casey Martin might have done a video on it too. We do a podcast together, and so and make sure you guys subscribe to the Resin Cast podcast if you haven't heard about it yet. But we were kind of talking about it. He was asking me about it, and so I think he might have done a video on it too. That kind of shows, you know, because he kind of learned, we were just talking a little bit about it, and it's extremely simple, the process. It's just, he might have done a video that kind of covered that. Degas without stabilizing. You have to dry anything that you put in resin, wood or pine cones or whatever. That's another reason why I like to stabilize things that I cast. It's already, for the most part, you've eliminated most of the moisture issues that you may have. Yeah, when you don't stabilize wood, or if the materials are significantly different density or hardness than the resin, then once you start sanding it, it's kind of weird. It can be a little bit weird. So that's another reason to stabilize things, is to kind of bring the hardness even with, you know, the resin, if you're doing multiple, you know, hybrid type things. Let's see here. I'm live too, yeah. Are you live? Spotify. I don't know. I could talk to, I don't see why we couldn't do that. I don't really handle, like, Casey handles all the computer stuff, so I will definitely bring that up to him though. We're on, so far we're on, I think for the most part, all it entails to get on Spotify or you know, iTunes or whatever, you just have to, like, tell them what your feed is, and then every time you post a new episode, it just automatically goes there. So we should be on, like, everything, I would say. Let's see here. Yeah, I think Casey he put up an episode like yesterday maybe. So yeah, there's a new episode up. It's pretty cool. It's, SoundCloud. It's on our website, and we've made that a little bit easier to navigate now. So the resincast.com, and Google Play. Those are the three that I know that we're on, but I don't know why. Again, I don't know why we're not on some of the other ones. I'll talk to Casey about that and see if we can just add it to other stuff, though. Definitely Spotify. I'm on Spotify too. It makes sense to be there. 18. Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, I think you're going to love that Laguna. Laguna lathes are really nice, all of them that I've seen. Like, I haven't talked to any person that has a Laguna that's like, oh, I hate it. Or like, it doesn't meet my expectations in some way. Everybody that's gotten a Laguna so far has been extremely satisfied with it. I know I am. I'm actually curious. I'm going to be hopefully teaching a class down at Turner's Warehouse. Me and Chad are trying to put something together. So I'll be back down in Phoenix in his shop, and he's got some of those, I don't know what number, 1218 or 1216, the mini kind of, or MIDI lathe that Laguna came out with. That thing looks fabulous. And if I needed another mini lathe, I'd probably buy that one. I've been turning for probably about 7 years, maybe. I don't know what year I started necessarily, but I would probably say like in 2012, I started getting into it. Not hardcore, you know, like I'm definitely not like a master at wood turning or anything like that. I kind of just get by. A lot of the stuff that I turn though is nowadays is not so different, but you know, there wasn't that many people turning, you know, resin cast things back in the day, so it's not like I had too many people to learn from. So I just kind of fumbled my way through. If you want to learn turning though, like I definitely recommend Sam Angelo, Wyoming wood turner, and Carl Jacobson for sure. Like those guys, they are really good at wood turning. So definitely check them out. Tips on equipment. Well, I use Turntex chambers. I like them a lot. They are kind of expensive, but they are specifically built to do wood stabilizing. You can use just like a pressure pot base and then put a conversion lid on it. The thing is though, you need to make sure that the conversion lid is strong enough. Otherwise they can crack under the vacuum. For die stabilizing, it's less important. Like one of the reasons I like the Turntex chambers is because they're clear all the way through on the sides. I don't really like using pressure pots, like opaque pots where you can't see in, like a metal pot as the base and then you have a clear lid. A lot of the questions about when is it done have to do with, you know, where's the air bubbles are they still coming out of the wood? And it's a lot easier if you can see all the way through the chamber. However, if you're die stabilizing, you really can't see much that's going on inside there. It usually, you know, makes the cactus juice opaque, so you can't see what's going on anyway, and that kind of negates the point of it. However, the other thing is it's a lot easier to dump those out. You know, like the Turntex chambers, they're just set up to make things pretty easy, but visibility is my number one concern with it. Oh, whoops. Sorry about that. I got all excited about nothing. Let's see here. Let's see here. Hold on a minute. You're on the fence on turning? Well, get off the fence and start turning then. Yeah, well, I actually started out on a Shopsmith. My dad has a Shopsmith, and like the tailstock wasn't tight at all. It was the worst. Then I got my Comet, and that changed the game. Like I was like, oh, turning's not that hard, you know. And now I got that Laguna. That thing's awesome. Like I got to be honest, you know, you don't need to spend money to get into turning, really. You can buy kind of cheaper things, but man, if you are like, you know what, I'm just going to spend money out the gate, just get a good lathe, and you're gonna be pretty good, pretty happy with it. 1216, that's right. Yeah, they honestly though, the Jet mini lathes are pretty good. Those are a really good lathe to start out on. The Comet is okay. Like the Comet's at a price point where it has a ton of features. At a pretty good price. It's not the best mini lathe on the market though. I think the Jet The Rikon, they're like flagship minis. And then that Laguna one, those are like top quality mini lathes. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. I would just make sure that everything locks down, and I would search for like it makes it a lot easier. Like the Shopsmith, the way that things are set up, a lot of the accessories that you can buy, like chucks and different things, don't really work on it. So that's one of the problems. I think the cheap Harbor Freight one is kind of problematic like that too. Other than that though, you know, it doesn't really matter as long as it's spinning around and you got tools and they're sharp. Glass lids. No, they don't necessarily have to be glass. I don't think. It's just they need to be thick enough. If you have questions about stabilizing, I would just flat out call, oh my God, I just went blank. Curtis Seebeck at Turntex. If you have questions about that stuff, he knows exactly what you need to work in different types of setups and all that stuff. He can explain to you on the phone how to do the double die stabilizing process, like in depth. Like he knows everything. So if you have questions about that, definitely just call him and he can answer all that stuff. He's pretty helpful with that. Let's see. Best budget carbide tools. Realistically, any carbide tool will do the job. I do like the Easywood Tools brand, and I definitely like their negative rate cutters for resin. If you're going to be turning resin projects or hybrids, especially like larger ones, I don't know that they're totally necessary for most pens, as long as the blank is, you know, Alumilite or epoxy or something like that, whatever. But for very brittle things or difficult materials, the negative rate cutters are awesome. Like they're the way to go. And I find them to be a lot easier for if you're hollowing or for larger blanks. The negative rate cutters, I think, are just, don't even mess with the other ones. But you can put those on most tools. They will fit on other tools. The Easywood Tools ones are awesome though. They're great fit and finish, and all that stuff will fit, but realistically they'll all work. And you can make your own too. There's not much to it. It's just a bar of steel set into a handle, and then you have to drill and tap to get a cutter on there. So, you know, you could either go with that, you know, make your own, go with a cheap one. They're going to work just fine. Or you can get a kind of, if you want a pretty nice tool, I think the Easywood Tools ones are probably the nicest ones out there. Yeah, I don't mean to harp on Captain Eddie's stuff, but I don't like his carbide. I used to buy it, and I don't think that it doesn't last as long as like the more expensive carbides. I would either just get Easywood tool carbide, which they last forever. I did a bunch of testing when they came out with their negative rate cutters. I'm still using the same negative rate cutters they gave me June of last year. And I've done a lot of turning with them. So like they're pretty good. I think if you want a kind of a cheaper one that's not Easywood Tools, Arizona Carbide they have really good stuff. The other problem I had with Eddie's, you know, purchasing the cutters from Captain Eddie was his website is so impossible to use that I just gave up. So he's a YouTuber, and I don't mean to I don't like to say that it's not as good, but I think that the Arizona Carbide ones are better, and it's an easier process to buy it. So, but I like the Easywood Tools carbides the best at this point. They seem to last the longest, and they fit perfectly on the tools. So that's not a huge difference, but I kind of do like that. Let's see here. Yeah, I had a Nova Galaxy for like 2 days, and it just wouldn't work. Yeah, Grizzly's not bad either. For a chuck, yeah, that might be kind of tough. You should be able to find an insert thing, like an adapter that'll fit onto any chuck though. So just maybe look into that. What time is it? Oh, I gave you guys 18 more minutes. Look at that. Let's see here. Actually, if you want kind of a budget set of carbides that are pretty good, Easywood Tools has their, what is that set called? It's a pretty good deal, like the intro. Let me look at their stuff. They have this, I think it's a set or a brand, Easy Start tools, and I think they might have a set of them. Those things are pretty good budget, and they'll fit all of their negative rate cutters. I don't know if it comes in a set or what, but it's a pretty good size. They're a little bit smaller, but they're kind of in the middle. Great for pen turning and stuff like that, but it can handle some bigger projects too. So check those out. Pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to get going. I got to make some blanks, like I said, back to work. So thanks for stopping by today. If you hung out, definitely tell all your friends to check this out if they want to see how this thing turned out. And don't forget, I guess, yeah, I didn't think about it, but yeah, if you want to, when you're leaving, hit the like button on this thing. That definitely helps out. Share with your friends. And again, if you do want to support the show, you can do so through the super chat feature on YouTube here in the chat thing, as well as Patreon, www.patreon.com/nvwoodworks. We have that if you want to do like kind of a monthly support thing. So anyway, guys, I hope you all have a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm pretty stoked about this little light bulb. It turned out pretty good. Can't wait to, I think that'll be a good gift for my wife. So I will see you guys next Friday. Like I said, I think I'm leaning towards we'll do some sort of a quick tips type deal on next Friday. So Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time. Hope you guys all can make it. And again, have a great night and a wonderful weekend. I will see you next Friday.